Hello and welcome to tuteslearn.com, your online study center. We were working on table last time, and today we are going to extend this work by illustrating some examples over cell spacing and cell padding. Yeah, so what is cell spacing and cell padding? Before we go, just type in here and I will give you the example and then I will make you understand this. Cell spacing equals 10. Okay, save that, refresh it. So, okay, let me increase this size. 20. See this? Yeah. So, the cell spacing is the distance between the outer border and the interior border of any element. Whereas the cell padding is the distance between the interior border and the element in it. So this is what the cell padding is and the cell spacing is. It's basically you can say a concept of taking margins and spaces from between the elements and the borders or the borders to the outer borders. So if I write cell spacing and cell padding both to be 20, cell spacing to be 20, save this, refresh this. So this distance of is of 20 pixels and this is because of the cell spacing, and this distance of 20 pixels is because of the cell padding. So this is how the cell spacing and cell padding works. If you want some space between the borders or between the elements and the borders, so we use this thing. Also we can increase the height and the width of the table. Okay, so let me do that. Wait a second. Yeah, there we go. So first this. Okay, there is some. Save this. Refresh. Yeah. So let me increase the height. So height, you can increase it in two ways. Either go with the percentage or just write in values. For example, 400, which means 400 pixels. Saving that, refreshing that. Look, it's a bit too much. 200 will work. So now it's 200 pixels in height. In a similar way, we can do is we can write width. For example, 100 pixels it too. So now it's a table of width 100 pixels and a height of 200 pixels. If we give it in percentage, for example, 50%, and save this and refresh this, then you can see it's basically the 50% of the screen. Assuming that this screen is 100%, so it will take half of it. If we will do it as 60%, it will be the 60% of the screen. So this is how we increase and decrease the height and the width of the table. Also, we can align this table to a particular side. Control S, Alt Tab, refresh. Okay, if you remember, the last time we had done is we had used a tag called align attribute, and the align attribute is used for aligning anything to a particularly one side of a screen. For example, if you want it to right, save this, refresh. Look, now the table has been sticked to the right side of the screen. In a similar way, for center, save this, refresh, like this. Also, so this is the align tag, and okay, so what's left is yeah, we can also give our table a background or body color. All we have to do is set the background equals something and give the path here, and the image path, whatever the image path will be, the image will be posted here and to be rendered as a table background. In a similar way, if you need a color, for example, you need a table bg color to be red, yellow, for example, save this, refresh. Look, now the table background has become yellow. Not just for the table, you can apply these height, weight, and bg color to these particularly datas of table rows or even table rows. For example, if you control X, control we that for the first row only, the background will be yellow. Save this, refresh, look. And if you want the background of that other row to be green, you can do that. Okay, what the, okay, refresh. Yeah, in a similar way, we can color these element too, and you can increase and decrease the height and the width of these things also. For example, if you want to increase the height of the table data, height to be let me to 50 pixels. Okay, so save this, refresh. So now it's 50% of the table, not of the screen. Sorry, not 50 pixels. It's not percentage, it's pixels. So it's now height of 50 pixels for the first row, but we had only applied the height to A. Why the height of B is changing? This is because they are in the same row. So affecting one will affect the other elements in the same row. And if you give it a percentage of 50 and save it and refresh it, you will see that the 50% of height has been taken from the height of the table. It's not the 50% of the screen, it's the 50% of the table height. Okay, so we can use height and width in table data also, and we can use align tag in there also. So okay, before we go and end this tutorial, one last thing that I need to cover is uh, tag called an attribute, which is known as summary. Summary equals, this isn't, this will be for non-visual browsers. Okay, so if I save this and refresh this, Control S, can you see there is no change? Um, and this will be for only non-visual browser, is not rendering here. This is because this actually is for those web browsers. I'm using Chrome, and Chrome supports the feature of table, but in some cases there are some browsers for mobiles and for tablets where the browsers are not that smart that these things they understand. So in those cases where they aren't able to render tables, they render, this will be for non-browser, and this is where the summary tag is used. Okay, so I think that's it for the video. Thank you, and I will get you into the next video. Have a nice